Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Yeah, I'm here. Relax. One last slug of coffee before we get this show cracking. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. That's right. Today's Wednesday, March 2nd. 61 days into the new year. 303 days left. We are live from the bunker right here in downtown Burbank, California. I'd like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your so humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? What a week on the show, huh? Yeah, man. Tonight we have a very special guest with us. Author Robin Maxwell. No joke. Robin Maxwell is with us tonight. And her new book, Atlantos. This book is amazing. It's going to change things. It is a game changer. Tomorrow night, right here, a very special Fader night tomorrow night. We're going to have comedian Ryan Singer live in the studio to co-host with me and man the phones and do all of that stuff that we do on Fader night. It's going to be cool. Did we post last night in Twitter, Rita, did we post Ryan Singer's video? You know, the crackers video? The crackers video. Yeah, well, I guess we can call it that. The crackers video. And if we didn't, you've got to get that we've got to get that up. It is, she says yes. You know what? Let's do it again. Let's do it again for everybody. All right? Get that up. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And so that's tomorrow night. Ryan Singer live here in the studio. And before we get things started, I have to say a very warm thank you to Jose Torres. Jose, as all of you know, a brilliant photographer and artist that last year attended CITD and took some of the most amazing photographs. He had a telephoto lens that was like 6.5 feet long. He had an assistant holding up the camera. Absolutely amazing lens. Anyway, and he sent us a print today that was on aluminum. It is extraordinary to look at. We posted the pictures. I just want to say thank you, Jose. Words can't describe the talent that you have and the work that was put into that. It is just absolutely humbling. But that part of it, okay, yes, but it is a work of art. And we posted pictures, and it just doesn't do it justice. It's an amazing piece, and he wrote a really nice little note there and said, I hope it makes its way into the bunker. And I said, yeah, and Rita goes, no, it's mine. And so it's hanging back at the house in our living room. But Jose, I'll say this right now. I tried to get it to the bunker today. but it's proudly displayed in our living room. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you, Jose. And that's it. I'm just humbled. I'm speechless. It is a genuine piece of art, and thank you so much. All right. Been battling. As you know, I went through 2 colds back to back, and first one, kind of harsh. Second one lasted about 8 hours, and I'm telling you, it was just because of Life Change Tea. I am fine. That's it. That's it. I cannot believe what it did to me this week and how it straightened me right out. Life Change Tea. Thank you for all of the notes and the letters and the email from all of you about Life Change Tea. You know who you are. Thank you for that. Keep it coming. Let me know. All right? And I'll forward everything to Ronnie. He needs to see that too as well. Thank you so much for the support. Just go to the banners at jimmychurchradio.com for Get the Tea. Use my name, Jimmy, and get yourself some free shipping. Ronnie's always got deals over there, too, as well. Same goes for Studio Dome. Studio Dome. If you attended the Big Bear Conference, you know what Studio Dome sounds like. And, we're going to be taking that system around the country over the summer. We've got 4 big conferences that we're doing back-to-back, and we're going to take our little portable Bluetooth surround sound system with us because we like to hang out with the Fadernauts and listen to the Van Halen. New Living Expo is April 29th through May 1st in San Mateo. That's up in San Francisco, California, just south of the airport, right there on the bay. Great facility. It's at the fairgrounds there. It's really cool. In San Mateo, that is April 29th through May 1st. I will be emceeing the event in the main room. Come and hang out with us, all right? And we'll be giving away tickets. I've got a bunch of tickets to give away. So if you live in the area, if you want to fly in and wing it in, you can do that too as well. Go to newlivingexpo.com. If you go to the website and you go to the futures page, it says future. There are all of the conferences listed there with the links for the individual conferences, so you can get all your hotel and ticket information and figure out your travel to go. All of the conferences are big and fun. They're all good. New Living is one of the biggest events in the country, if not the world. It's a very large event, and looking forward to seeing everybody there. Contact in the Desert, of course, is June 3rd through the 6th. We did post, and that's in Joshua Tree, California. We did post up, if you want to enter the contest on behalf of Jimmy Church Radio, we posted the links for that. Just click, go, enter. That's what you want to do. Get yourself some free tickets. We'll also be giving away tickets, full passes for Joshua Tree. And then after that is the Roswell Festival. That is June 30th through July 3rd. We're broadcasting live Friday night in Roswell, New Mexico. And there's some other events that are going to be lined up for us there, too, as well. And as you know, we've been looking forward to doing Roswell for a long time. And so let's all get together. Fadernauts, let's get together. Let's all go to Roswell. But what we need to do, of course we go to Roswell, but we've got to go to Roswell. We got to go to Mac Brazel's ranch. We've got to go. And with metal detectors, you know what I want to do. And then right after that, in August, UFOs Within Reach in Big Bear, California. And that's UFOsWithinReach.com. The links are also over at Jimmy Church Radio. And the new website is up, so you can go and check that out, too, as well. Big Bear, California in August is a beautiful place to be. And we've got just a great summer lined up. Got a couple of pieces of email yesterday and today, about writing for us. And there you go. And thank you for that. And Michael, number one. And so just email Rita at jimmychurchradio.com. And if you want to come write for us, we would love to have you. There's too much talent out there. Let's get this show cracking. Today, John Bon Jovi, the man who can't sing, is 54 years old. That's right. I said it. I said it last year on his birthday, too. John Bon Jovi, 54 years old. And the new Bond, Daniel Craig, is 48. Now, didn't he just announce, he's the new Bond, right? But didn't he just announce that he's not doing Bond anymore? That lasted about, there you go. Thank you, Jose. And that's, man, what a piece of work. I'm going to retweet this for everybody. This is from Jose. That is what, this is, follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio, hashtag F2B. As you look at this image, this is not what you think it is. This is on aluminum, like 8-inch thick aluminum with a really cool mounting system in the back, too. It's really nice and stuff. But it's aluminum, and it's I don't know how to describe it to you. It is a piece of artwork, and I guess it's 2 feet by 3 feet, poster size. And it's just extraordinary. And if you look really close on the left, the left of my arm, right there, that's a little alien looking up where I'm looking up in the same position. Pretty trippy. Of course, you got Giza and you've got the Sphinx, but then there's Göbekli Tepe. Bigfoot is right there at the base of the Great Pyramids, going through the jungle. And, of course, the Mars attacks looking flying saucer is absolutely incredible. Got your black triangle. But then down below, we have the Malibu base and underwater UFOs and MH370 and some shocks. Man, just absolutely incredible. What a piece of artwork. And, of course, the Milky Way. It's extraordinary. There you go. Thank you so much, Jose. That is a piece of work. John Bon Jovi was 54 last year. Then he is 55 this year. Really? Well, according to my math, he's 54 today. Maybe you wanted him to be 54. I could understand that. But I do believe John Bon Jovi is 54 today. Coldplay frontman Chris Martin is 39. I like Coldplay. I'll do it. I'm comfortable in my manliness that I can say I like Coldplay. And the Kooks, Luke Pritchard, is 31. Hung out with the Kooks a few years ago when they came over to the States for the first time. And Luke's a really talented guy. I don't know what happened to them since, but nonetheless, Luke, happy birthday. Our dead guys' birthdays today are, I forgot. Oh, no. Okay, Lou Reed, 1942 to 2013, died at the age of 71. And Karen Carpenter, 1950 to 1983, died at the age of 32. And I have some isolated vocal tracks of Karen Carpenter, and I was going to play it before the show tonight. I got all wound up in Twitter and forgot to blow that through, and it's sitting right here queued up. And, man, I don't know if there's a way to do it. Man, I'll see what I can do. It's too good to not play. All right. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio, Facebook, YouTube. You know what to do. You can email throughout the show, Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. Any questions or comments during the show for the guest, myself, use hashtag F2BQ. Tonight, author Robin Maxwell is here. Her new book, Atlantos, which we got last week, and I have not been able to get it away from Rita. It's like an encyclopedia, 600 pages, I believe, and I think Rita's about halfway through with it. And she pounds a book every 3 days, and that's how thick this book is. But Rita's about halfway through. As soon as she's done, I've been getting the play-by-play from Rita, right? Been getting the play-by-play, but I have to wait until she puts that thing down. Tomorrow night, Ryan Singer. Live in the studio right here. Very, very funny man. On this day in history, 1972, Pioneer 10 was launched to Jupiter. Pioneer 10. That's right. The world's first outer planetary probe. It was launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida, on a mission to Jupiter, the solar system's largest planet. Fact, at least 55 people have accidentally fallen from the rim of the Grand Canyon to their death. Don't get too close. Man, I'll tell you, the first time I was at the Grand Canyon, I did exactly that. I did what everybody does. You walk up to the edge and look down. That's what you do. And 55 went one step too far. Today, I have got to, I've got some really good coffee here. Hold on. Had to wet my whistle. Yeah, I did it on the air. So what? Sue me. Today, I was watching some really cool documentaries on aviation and aviation history and our space program and working on the show. And I was, and I'm looking, and it hit me right between the eyes. And it's weird how it hasn't happened before, and I don't know why. But that's how revelations happen, right? Probably because I was thinking about Sitchin's 12th planet last night and Atlantos and the conversation that Rita and I had about Sitchin and our progress or evolution over the last 100 years. And, and then it happened today. It was like, bam, right? The Germans, the Germans, made two great strides during World War II. And, well, I get it. I do. They made many. They made lots. Probably some that we don't even know about. But two were enormous. First, there was the design of the ME-262. And for those of you out there that don't know what the ME-262 is, and that's fine, just look it up right now, ME-262. Somebody's going to tweet it out right now. The ME-262. It is still, for me especially, it is still one of the coolest, baddest, most revolutionary planes in all of history. So much has been said about the 262, but 70 years later, right? This is 2016. It still looks glorious. It looks menacing. And it's also very, very relevant. And I know you're going, Jimmy, why? Where are you going with this? Just listen. Because its basic design, what it's about, was so perfect that, in fact, all aircraft design, and I'm telling you, this hit me today like a ton of bricks, all aircraft design has not changed at all in 70 years. Not since the 262. There it is. Bloke from Oz, Mark Tarana. Now, take a look at the 262. That's a really good picture of it. Yeah, you know what, Mark, or somebody else? Post a photograph of the 262. That's a painting, and it's a beautiful painting. But look at that design, okay? It's 70 years old. And it's now, okay, look, before you go, and I know what you're thinking right now, you're going, Holy Third Reich Church. You've definitely lost your mind. It's official. But just go with me. Let me explain, okay? All right? There's always method to the madness. Up until the 262, all aircraft had straight wings. All. Now, and if you were lucky, you had straight wings and maybe you had a propeller or two with some kind of engine attached to it. That was airplane design. But not the 262. No. There you go. Mark Tarana. Look at that design. Look at that airplane. That was on the drawing boards in 1941. Yeah. Let's show an Allied aircraft at the same time. Anyway, the point is, up until, and now somebody should post a top view. Post a top view of the 262. Okay. Well, anyway, let me get back on track here. Where was I? Yeah, all airplanes had straight wings. Straight, not swept back. But if you look at the 262, look at that. Tammy, that is a brilliant, look at that plane. Now, if you look at the 262 from above and look at a modern jumbo jet, Airbus, Boeing, whatever, you will see the same exact design. Nose to tail. Even the two jet engines hanging off the wings. Think about what I'm saying here for a second. The 262, it literally set the standard. A standard that was so good, so perfect, and so forward-thinking that there is no reason to change it. Can't. Swept wings, two jet engines underneath each one, the shark-shaped body. Every commercial jetliner today is this exact design. Nothing has changed, and we have not progressed. It hit me today. I was looking at the 262, and I'm looking at if you compare. So I went back and I got different top views of Airbuses and Boeing Dreamliners and I started to look, and it's the exact same design. You don't have to use your imagination. The tail, the shape, everything is the same. The same basic design. We haven't progressed. The other giant design, and go with me, the other giant design was the V2. Now, again, just like the 262, it was so damn good that nothing has changed in its design. The world still launches everything into space with an explosion from the bottom of a tube with a pointy hat on top. Nothing has changed in 70 years. So many books, so many documentaries, websites, authors, researchers dedicated to Nazi technology. And I'm not planting a flag here. I'm not claiming that I've discovered anything. I'm not, because I haven't. And sure, it was amazing and is amazing technology, but that would be missing my point. Nobody has been able to come up with a better mousetrap here. With all of the progress over the last 100 years, I was talking about Sitchin, his first chapter of the 12th Planet. You know what I'm talking about. And all the progress we've made, electricity to the Internet of Things. The V2 is what got us to the moon, allegedly. And the ME-262 has allowed for every passenger jet in the world to take off every second of every day of every year. But not even the Germans could top themselves. Which brings up the obvious. The designs were so great because they were not of human origin at all. And we were not ready for them. We haven't been able to top them. We are stuck. Think about that. All the news that you know nothing about. In a question and answer session with lawmakers, U.S. Army Representative Mary J. Miller said that the American Armed Forces will be equipped with high-energy laser weapons by the year 2023. 6 years. Speaking before the House Armed Services Committee's subcommittee on emerging threats and capabilities, Miller said that the Army is committed to developing offensive and defensive directed energy weapons, including high-energy lasers. While some directed energy systems are already online, they're on Navy ships. They're active, like the Navy's XN1 Laws program. That thing is real, burning up ships right now as we speak. The military has largely held off on deploying laser weapons. The technology's there, the designs are done, and they are ready. That's it. They've held off until now. Big news today. Former Chesapeake Energy CEO Aubrey McClendon, a pioneer of America's recent energy boom, died in a fiery car crash today. One day after being indicted by a federal grand jury. McClendon, 56 years old, was driving alone and traveling, as quoted by the police. He was traveling very fast. Yeah, that's their description. When his car drove straight into an overpass wall. This is according to the Oklahoma City Police Department. His 2013 Chevy Tahoe was immediately engulfed in flames, and investigators concluded he was not wearing a seatbelt. Very interesting. And let me get this last piece in here because I want to get to Robin. A piece of wreckage, no pun intended, apparently from a Boeing 777, like the missing MH370, was found washed ashore over the weekend on the coast of Mozambique. A Mozambican official said that the plane part, measuring 35 inches by 22 inches, was discovered by an American tourist. His name was Blaine Gibson, and a local fisherman, and they found it on a sandbar. The discovery was reported to officials this past Monday, and the tourist handed over his find to Mozambique authorities. The debris is now on its way to Malaysia for further examination. The wreckage is a piece of the horizontal stabilizer skin. Very, very interesting. Man, is that ever going to get put to bed? I've got to do this. I can't let this get away from me. The billionaire industrialists, the Koch brothers, the most powerful conservative mega donors in the United States, will not deploy their $400 million political arsenal fund to attack Republican frontrunner Donald Trump. That's right. Well, at least not in the primaries, according to an official from the brothers' political umbrella group. Rumors about a Trump strategy that was developed during the Koch summit back in January that would launch a Trump intervention that would involve deploying the Koch's vast political network to target the billionaire in hopes of removing him from the race. Who is reporting this and why is it important? How about Reuters? Wow. Apparently, the decision has been made. And that, my friends, is the heart of a real conspiracy. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, author Robin Maxwell right here for the duration. Maybe we'll get lucky and she'll take some of your calls. Robin Maxwell and her new book, Atlantos, right after this short break. You can email Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. Twitter is at jchurchradio. This is Bespoke Radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'll be back with Robin Maxwell right after this. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National tax experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Klutsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Robin, too. Real Robin, or the Robin Maxwell. Is it real Robin Maxwell or the Robin Maxwell? Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Tomorrow night, comedian Ryan Singer live in the studio. But tonight, it's Robin Maxwell. She is a historian, Los Angeles Times best-selling novelist and screenwriter, and a self-admitted catastrophist. Robin Maxwell made a name for herself in 1997 with the historical fiction genre about her debut novel, The Secret Diary of Anne Boleyn. Winning multiple awards, it has since been translated into 16 languages and is now in its 24th printing. All 10 of her novels have been critically acclaimed, and several have been Amazon.com #1 bestsellers. But Robin has been obsessed with ancient astronauts, the Dogon tribe of Mali, Planet X, and the antediluvian civilizations. Many would categorize her newest novel, Atlantos, as pure science fiction or fantasy, but it is a deeply researched historical novel set on Earth and Mars in a much earlier period, 10,000 BC. Her inspiration and main historical source is Plato, but other deep influences have included Graham Hancock, Eric von Daniken, and Zechariah Sitchin. Her website is robinmaxwell.com, and I would like to welcome to Fade to Black for the first time, Robin Maxwell. Robin, good evening.
Good evening to you, Jimmy. Good to be here.
I'm excited. Now, this is what's really cool, Robin. You get the first time guest disclaimer. Now, the next time you're on the show, you don't get it. Okay, so right now you get to enjoy the moment, and the disclaimer is, it's just you and I sitting on my couch, having a conversation as friends, and where it goes, but we're going to end as friends. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm sitting on my couch, too.
Oh, see? And you sound like, you're right here in the studio. Had I known that you were, this close, we're in Burbank, you're 100 miles away. We could have just brought you on in. But next time, we'll bring you over to the bunker.
Well, I'm out under the stars of the high desert and near Joshua Tree, and it's beautiful here.
I cannot wait for Contact in the Desert, which we've done the last 2 years, 3 years, 2 years. It's 2 years. And I got to tell you, that is a special place where you live, and
It is. It's, and I'm a townie. It's unusual to have somebody who's right from here at Contact, but I'm really looking forward to it. It's my first time at Contact, too.
Let me tell you how much we love Joshua Tree.
Okay.
We eat at the Country Kitchen.
Oh, we do too.
That place is
That's
the
a
bomb.
great place.
Oh, I've got pictures of many a breakfast in the Country Kitchen.
Well, that's one of Anthony Bourdain's favorite places.
We sat at the Bourdain table, right? So
we did.
So we sit down, and I just look, and I was hoping for some really good biscuits and gravy. I was hoping for that country breakfast. Because it smells so good. And I look over, and there's this picture of Bourdain. I'm like, oh man, we're good.
Well, have you been to Pappy and Harriet's Pioneer Town Palace?
I've heard. Have not.
Gotta go.
Yep. And I'll tell you, you know what we have done 2 years running? We closed the Joshua Tree Saloon.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Another cool place. There are a lot of great places out here.
Did a little country line dancing and some really good vodka. Yeah, we like the Joshua Tree Saloon. Yeah, Joshua Tree is just a special place, and I mentioned this the other night on the show, and I've done this a few times, but I have to do this with you because you're going to go, yeah, whatever, Jimmy. It happens every day. Yeah. But we stayed in the first year, I got to think about this correctly, in 29 Palms, and we had a cabin, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, to make a long story very short, we have a little get together, and we're out on the patio of this place, out on the edge of the desert. And if you know where there's a museum out there, like a train museum. Right?
I've heard of it, but I haven't been there.
Yeah, that train museum is at the edge of the desert, and that's where our little bungalow was, right? So we're at the edge of the mountains. And anyway, so we're there, and 9, 10 o'clock at night, it's starting to get deserty, it's getting dark and getting quiet. And then all of a sudden, off of the desert floor, maybe a half mile, quarter mile out in the desert, this orb just takes off.
Did you see so? Oh
yeah. Took off from the desert floor like it was a fireworks or something, and just went straight up into outer space. And it was a glowing orb, and no fire, no sparks, nothing like that. It was just this glowing orb, and it took about 3 seconds, and it was gone into the stars.
Well, this place is famous for that. I mean, Joshua Tree National Park, this whole area is so famous for Contact. I think that's one of the main reasons that Contact in the Desert is held here. And, of course, there's the Integratron, which do people know about that? Do your listeners know about the Integratron?
We talk about it all the time. Have you been there? Have you been there?
Oh, yeah. I've done the sound baths. We send all our guests there. We have a vacation rental, and anybody who comes from out of town, we send them there because it's a unique experience. If your listeners know about it, it's just this dome that was built back in the 50s, 60s, and the man who built it believed he had been contacted by Venusians.
Yep, George Van Tassel.
Van Tassel, and he built an extraordinary building. I went there with a physicist, and he was completely taken with it. Somebody that I normally wouldn't have gone along with that type of thing. He was He was totally into that building, and we all had a sound bath, and we all had an experience. It's a special place.
Yeah, like I said, your answer to me it was going to be, yeah, okay, Jimmy, it's Joshua Tree. What do you expect?
I'm into it out here. It's a weird and wild place. And there are energies here that are kind of unexplainable, but it doesn't surprise me that you saw something. I mean, I've been out here 16 years, and I haven't seen anything except something man-made. It was the first year I was here, and about midnight, and I saw something in the sky over Pioneer Town, and it was flashing red, yellow, green, and blue, and it was just hovering in the sky, and it was a UFO, and I couldn't get my husband to wake up. He'd already gone to bed, but I had to look, and I raced out toward where it was, and the closer I got to it, the farther away it got, and I had to finally come on home. And a couple days later in the paper, I found out that it was an experimental craft. There had been a contest. I'm trying to remember who had started this contest for a manned or unmanned craft that could go to Mars and back. And it said that it was being tested over the Mojave Desert. So I saw a UFO, but it was man-made.
Shut up. That's actually just as cool as seeing something that wasn't man-made, actually.
Well, it
And who knows if it was actually man-made? That's just what you read in the paper, too, by the way.
Yeah, who knows? But, of course, all these unknown objects, some of them probably are reverse engineered, and maybe they are man-made, but who knows the original source of them.
Well, before we jump into the book, looking at and listening to you speak about some of your other works, it is it must be one of the funnest and rewarding things to be able to do, to write about history, go into facts, do your research, and then have fun with it and do your own narrative.
And the best thing about history, and especially the history that I'm used to writing, is that it's so long ago that there are gigantic holes in history.
Right.
We know what Henry VIII said to Anne Boleyn up to a certain point in a castle room, and then blank. We don't know what they said to each other, but we know what happened. We know the chain of events, and we know that she ended up in the Tower of London having her head sliced off. But there are hours, days, weeks of conversations that I have to make up as a historical fiction author. But that means that I have to know my characters so well, and I have to know the events on either side of the chasm to be able to extrapolate. That's the main thing that I do to fill in the holes.
Did Anne ever come to you in a dream and go, okay, now check this out?
Well, that's a funny thing. That was my debut novel back in 1997, and I did a huge national book tour for it in the days where they used to send authors on huge national book tours.
Right.
And and because I had written Anne Boleyn's diary, and it was apparently believable, and people the most asked question of me during my whole book tour was, do you think you're a reincarnation of Anne Boleyn? And I don't know if I believe in that. So I'd have to say no. I don't know how I knew. She didn't come to me in a dream, but for some reason, I have been fascinated with her the half of my life, half of my adult life. And it was a joy to be able to write about her. And I ended up writing 3 other novels, which formed my Elizabethan quartet, because, of course, Elizabeth I was her daughter, her and Henry VIII's daughter. So I don't know what my connection to that part of history is, but it's extremely strong. I feel like I might have lived then, but I don't know. When you talk about why I wrote Atlantis, I have some experiences from childhood that would kind of tie me to these interests. But as to that, the 16th and the 15th century, I have no idea where that came from.
Have you ever done a past life regression?
No, I haven't. Have you?
No.
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 Do you have any ties to any period yourself?
I do, and I've talked about this before, Robin. And the thing is, when I hear other people talk about it, I was Genghis Khan, or I was Ramses in Egypt, or I was they're always a historical figure. My tripping out with those kind of thoughts, I'm always like the peasant rolling around in the mud, begging for food or rotten corn somewhere in the dirty streets of Paris.
Yeah, well, that's probably more likely. If there is such a thing as reincarnation, then all of us have to, we can't have all been Cleopatra and Genghis Khan. Some of us had to be the other, the other peasants.
Yes. And so for me,
I'm with you.
Yeah, I did. So have I thought about doing it? I have. But I just really, I don't want to see the harsh reality of it. Let's just stay with the fantasy. And I don't want to be the guy that, is clubbed to death in the bowels of a slave ship. I don't want to be that guy. So,
well, have you ever heard of the book Many Lives, Many Masters?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, if I were ever to believe in reincarnation, that book would make me believe. It was a fascinating book about a doctor, one particular doctor who regressed patients, and wow, that was believable.
Well, you know why I believe in reincarnation? I was probably 4 years old, right? I'm like 4 or 5, and I hear my mom and my Aunt Helen, I think it was my Aunt Helen, anyway, talking about reincarnation, and I thought, wow, what a crazy word, right? And my mom turned around and looked right at me and goes, reincarnation is when you die and then your soul goes into and you continue to live, and that's it. Everybody goes through reincarnation. She gave me this description, and that's it. That's the Bible right there. That's ingrained, and that's it. Reincarnation is what it is. My mom said it is so. And that's why I've always that's probably why I'm whacked out doing this radio show right now. But but it's really true. That's your parents have a big influence on you.
That's true.
And you were mentioning yourself when you were young about Atlantis and the fascination with
about my dreams. The things that occur to me now when I try to figure out why I had this total obsession with lost civilizations, particularly, and UFOs, and 2 experiences that I had in childhood could be the key. The first is from the time I was 5 or 6 years old, I have had tidal wave dreams. Of course, now we call them tsunamis, but in those days it was tidal waves, and I had them in absolutely every conceivable situation and location. I grew up in New Jersey, and I used to go to the Jersey Shore, and my first tidal wave dreams were at Belmar Beach, and I'd be sitting on the beach looking out, and the waves would start getting larger and larger, and then all of a sudden there was one that blotted out the sky, and it came, I started to run. They used to have a kind of a chain link fence, and I'd grab onto the fence, and the wave would get me, suck me in. I'd be tumbled around. I could breathe. I'd have to take a breath, and I could breathe underwater, and I'd wake up. But ever since then, since the age of 6, I have had tidal wave dreams in New York City, in the desert, where I'm sitting on a sand dune and I'm thinking, no tidal waves here. And I get up all full of myself and I turn around and there's a gigantic tidal wave coming from inland at me. And so what's that all about? I've thought to myself, what is that if maybe not a past life regression? Possibly. I don't know. A past life memory, I should say. And the other thing is kind of a family story that was passed down to me, and it wasn't just my mom, it was my mother and my grandmother and me living in mid-New Jersey in a little town called Bound Brook, and the 3 of us are out in the backyard. I can't remember this because I was only 2, but my mom and grandma always talked about it. We were just sitting there, and a flying disc came over our backyard and was hovering there. And my mom, grandma, they'd never seen anything like that. They kind of panicked, and they left me outside. They ran in to call the police and the newspaper. I do not believe I was abducted. I've never had abduction,
memories. Well, let me say, I need to interrupt. While they were in the house, while they were abandoning you, right? What continued to happen? Did it stay up there? Did you watch it?
I don't know. I have no memory of this. I have absolutely no memory. This is all the stories that have been handed down from my mother and grandmother to me.
They admitted leaving you.
Yeah. I know. And they were never particularly embarrassed. It was just that they needed to call the police, I guess. But they both ran in and they left me out there. It was probably before they even, because that would have been the early 50s.
Wow.
So that around 1950, yeah, I was born in 48. So that was before they would have known
what a flying saucer even was. Yeah.
This is this thing in the backyard,
right.
and they want to know what it is, or they want to call the newspaper. But so I just wonder if those 2 things are the basis for this insane interest. It's more than an interest. I mean, I just have, I've done countless stories. Some of them have been screenplays. The first screenplay I ever wrote was back in 1980, was called The Invisible, and it was about the Dogon tribe and extraterrestrial visitation in the distant past. And never produced, but it got me a lot of jobs in screenwriting. So,
well, did you have anything to do with V?
No, but here's a funny story. Maybe I shouldn't talk about it, but I will anyway. Funny you should ask about that, because
it's my job, Robin. It's my job.
My one produced credit TV movie was called Passions, and it starred Joanne Woodward and Richard Crenna and Lindsay Wagner. And my writing partner was a woman. Maybe I just won't mention her name, but she was the wife of a studio head. And she had been working at NBC as a kind of a low-level executive. And she came up with this idea that was V. And she handed it in. They took it. They ran with it. And when they came out with it, they gave her no credit. But it had nothing to do with me. But that's an interesting.
Yeah, you like that, don't you?
Yeah. Well,
that's why I love doing this show. Right there. Uncomfortable moments.
Yeah, uncomfortable.
Yeah, awesome. Well, see, this is the thing. When you write about what you do, it's romance, it's history, it's a combination of fiction and nonfiction, and all the elements are there, and the names are right, and I enjoy that kind of writing. So you can blend your imagination with also the historical facts. So then you feel that you are there. You don't have to imagine the characters. You know who the characters are, right?
And you've done your research. You've done your deep research. That gets you on firm ground. Then you can kind of go from there, go anywhere.
Especially if you're a fan of the genre, right?
Yeah.
Well, now, so you've done a large body of work in a certain area, but now you've taken a right turn, young lady. And now you've joined us, right?
Yeah.
And you've come out of the closet now. You're free. You can, but why now? Why didn't you do this before? Why was it important for you to do it now? You know what? We're going to actually save that answer for after the break, because we're going to go into a break in 2 minutes. And I want to say this. I don't know. I really don't know what kind of work it takes to write a book, let alone to do what you have done. You're very prolific. But I don't know. And I respect that discipline that it must take to sit down and stare at a blank page or a blank screen and somehow turn that into 300, 400, 500 pages of something that is substantial. I don't
know either. I tell you what, I look at the books that I've written, and especially the earlier ones, and I read them, or sometimes lately I've been getting them on audiobook, and I listen to them, and I think, I wrote that?
Right.
How the hell did I write that? I have no idea. It's a mystery.
Well, and so, we get the new book, Atlantos. Yes. And we get it, and I pick it up, and I'm like, wait a minute. This isn't Dr. Seuss here. This is like a real tome. And how many pages? Really quick.
529.
529 of the small type variety. Our guest tonight is Robin Maxwell. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. I warned everybody tonight in Twitter, it's going to be one of those nights on the show. This is what late night talk radio is all about. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Bespoke radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. More with Robin Maxwell right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
People love to shop. What if you could shop and it was actually good for you? What if you could actually purchase items that bettered your life? What goes into your body is important to what quality of life you have. How about shopping for items that better your health? GetTheT.com is that shopping place. We're not only tea, even though that's our #1 seller, we are about helping your health. There's Colostrum LD for those of you with autoimmune troubles. The product helps your stomach get on track. GI problems produce pain. Get relief with Colostrum LD. How about some fat burners? Or maybe some joint aid? Or a power cleanse? There's so much to tell you with very little time. So get help health-wise at GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Or you can call our friendly operators at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. Get help and relief by going shopping. Shop at GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Serving people with great products for over 8 years. GetTheT.com.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
Hello, Fadernauts. Are you looking for the ultimate Bluetooth speaker system? Well, check this out. The Studio Dome surround sound system, featuring the Studio Dome 1 SD1 and the Studio Boombox SBB wireless Bluetooth speakers, is the perfect way to get surround sound without all of the cable headaches. With its own hard shell custom carrying case for taking your surround sound experience on the go. Each hard shell case comes packed with an SBB, 2 SD1s, cables, and power. It's just $99, and you use the promo code Jimmy, and you get yourself some free shipping. Once again, Studio Dome brings you the best deal on the net. Anywhere. Just go to the Studio Dome banner, JimmyChurchRadio.com, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Tappy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Follow me on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio. Use the hashtag F2B. That is the sandbox. The Fadernauts do not bite. We bust through 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 tweets every single show. Come and hang out and enjoy the conversation. Robin Maxwell's new book is Atlantos. Did you say Atlantis earlier? Is that the it is Atlantos, right? It has to be.
Atlantos, yeah.
Okay. Set in 10,000 BC on Earth and Mars, and it's historical. What would you call it when you
prehistorical fiction?
Yeah, prehistorical fiction. That's a good way.
I just coined the term, and we, the group that will be at Contact in the Desert. Many of us, Graham Hancock, Baval, Childress, we are prehistorians. I don't know if anybody's called them that before, but
and to get Graham Hancock to comment on anything, he is so. Look, he's been on the show a few times with us. We love Graham, right? We love our Graham, but he is also a picky critical guy, and he will speak his mind. And for him to call the book tremendous, exhilarating, and a brilliant read, that says it all. And he
actually he said a lot more. That's the whole.
I have the whole
quote. It blew my mind when he gave that to me. I thought I was going to drop dead.
Well,
it was more than I could have dreamed, and bless his heart.
Well,
but he really loved the book. So
I had asked before the break, why now? Why couldn't you have written this before? Why was it so important to do this now?
Well, no, the fact is I did it before. There's an evolution to this book. It goes way back. I've been trying to write about Atlantis for, I hate to say how long, but I said the first script I ever wrote was The Invisible, about extraterrestrial visitation in the distant past. But then I wrote a story that I hoped would be a script called Capstone, and that was about two brothers in Atlantis, but that never went anywhere. And then around 95, I came up with a story called Rush to Atlantis. And at that time, I was working with a wonderful writer, a producer, who gave me the other blurb from my book, Ronald Shusett, who was one of the co-writers and producers of Alien, Total Recall, and Minority Report.
Right.
And he actually paid me to write Rush to Atlantis, which is a story that takes place in 1907 about a group of explorers who discover Atlantis when it rises from the ocean. And we went around Hollywood trying to sell it. That didn't work out, but I had the Atlantis bug. I just had to do something. So, but in 1997, my first novel, historical fiction, was published, and then I was, for the next few years, I was taken up with writing the sequel. And but then when we moved out here to Pioneer Town next to Joshua Tree, I had it was some kind of creative epiphany. I fell in love with nature, because I live in one of the most beautiful, jaw-droppingly gorgeous places in the world. And I was so inspired to write what I wanted to write. Not that I didn't want to write historical fiction, but I got this feeling, why don't I actually write the Atlantis story? So this is around the year 2000. And actually, Ron Shusett helped me with certain parts of this book. He helped me with the monsters and the extraterrestrials and just the creatures. He's such a great creature person. Right. I wrote the first draft literally in the year 2000, the first year I was out here. And at that time, the entire book was about 550 pages. And I sent it to my agent. I had, my book agent in New York, and they loved it. And they sent it. This is the weirdest thing. They sent it out to both Hollywood and the New York publishing world at 8:45 on September 11th, 2001, just as the planes were hitting the towers.
Wow.
And so, of course, for a couple months after that, nothing got done in any medium. And when people started coming back online and responding to the submission, almost every pass that I got, and I got all passes on the book, said something like, this is far too apocalyptic for me, because of course it's a story of a civilization ending. And that's kind of what 9/11 felt like. And nobody wanted to know about it. And then I put it aside because my career was still kind of taking off and in historical fiction. So I wrote, 7 more books. And,
and all of those, and all of those were picked up, right? Boom, 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 boom. No issues.
No issues at all. I mean, my career was on an ascendance, and but I couldn't really think about anything else because as time went by, whereas before I was allowed to have 2 years to write a book. Right around 2006, 2007. I had changed publishers. I was now with Penguin. They wanted 1 book a year.
Wow.
And that was driving me crazy, but I didn't have time to think about anything else. In 2009, I was finished with historical, the historical fiction books, and I decided I wanted to do something entirely different. I wanted to do a love story, and because I had just done one about Romeo and Juliet. I had done the first novelistic version of the Romeo and Juliet story called Oh, Juliet, and I had done that for Penguin. And I was riding down the road with my husband, and he said, well, what do you want to do next? I said, I want to do another love story. So he said, well, what couple would you like to do? And I said, Tarzan and Jane. So he kind of laughed, and that turned into Jane, the Woman Who Loved Tarzan, and that was bought by Tor Books, which is the largest sci-fi and fantasy publisher in the world, and that was published in the Tarzan centennial year, 100 years of Tarzan novels. I was the first woman ever allowed to write a Tarzan classic, and I spoke at a couple Tarzan conventions. I did presentations there. I actually was on a panel at Comic-Con in 2012. And so that was kind of my transition out of straight historical fiction, even though it took place just after the turn of the 20th century in 1912.
Well, had you gone leading into this, if that's 2012, and you have all of the books that you would have had to, and research that you would have had to have done as a fan of archaeology and ufology and lost history and lost civilizations and Giza and everything else that goes with it, Sitchin and Hancock and Bauval and everything else. Where did you find that? How did you get that research in? Because you didn't do that starting in 2012.
Oh, no. I started doing that probably around 1995. I mean, I was reading, actually, I was crazy about Von Daniken. I mean, Chariots of the Gods. Didn't we all get our start with Eric Von Daniken?
Yep, my mom handed me Chariots of the Gods in 1970, yes.
And I'm supposed to be on a panel with him at Contact in the Desert. What a thrill that is.
Yeah, and wait till you see how cool he is.
Oh, I actually went to just a guest at one Contact, and I heard him speak. I thought he was fabulous. He was the best one there. He gave fabulous presentations, and so I'm just thrilled that I'll be meeting him and being on a panel with him. But anyway, no, I've been in between. Of course, I had to be doing all my 15th and 16th century research, but in my down moments, I would just pick up whatever I could. So I started reading Graham Hancock. Of course, Fingerprints of the Gods was my Bible, really, about lost civilizations. And then he talked about some of the people that that he respected, and so I started reading some of their works, and John Anthony West and Baval, and and of course I got into Sitchin. But I had to do that before the year 2000 because that was, when I was doing the research for the first incarnation of Atlantis, which in those days it was called Poseidon. I just called because he is such a major character in it.
Right,
and
right.
But of course I was reading Plato. I was reading books about people who believed they had found Atlantis in, say, the Mediterranean, which I never believed. I never believed that. But I just read everything I could get my hands on, and so finally, when the Jane year, it was actually 3 years of doing research, writing, and then doing the Tarzan centennial year, which was a lot of speaking and presentations and things like that. It was exhausting. So when I finally had my energy back, I thought, well, what do I want to do? And this book had, a 550-page manuscript. I sat down and I read it, and it was crap. I mean, half of it was crap. Half of it was fantastic, and half of it was crap. And I'd say half of it wasn't there. It was just, it was almost like a 550-page outline.
It was it was one-sided too as well. It was one perspective. Plato's.
No, it was a lot of, it had all the perspectives that I wanted, but nothing was fleshed out the way I needed it to be fleshed out.
Well, how did you, I want to get to some technical points. How did you arrive at 10,000 BC? Because that is a magical year, as you know, in our circles for a lot of different reasons.
Well, between 11,600 is the year that Plato says that Atlantis sank beneath the waves in a day and night. So, that's 11,600. So I kind of rounded it off to 12,000. When I read it in Graham Hancock's book, Fingerprints of the Gods, that there was at the end of the Ice Age was then. And I thought, well, that's too much of a coincidence. So it was the end of the Ice Age that caused the sinking of Atlantis. So when I put those two things together, and when I decided that this was going to be the most believable novel ever written about Atlantis, it was going to have the same veracity as my deeply researched historical fiction novels. So what I had to do was, starting with Plato, who told the story and who gave us a date that worked perfectly with what we knew about the geology of the Earth. And then I just started doing my research. And the other thing was, I had to figure out, well, who were the gods? Who was the Poseidon that Plato talked about? He was a god. So he was, where did this god come from? Well, Plato doesn't actually say he came from the stars, but other Greeks and other civilizations that think about their gods coming from the sky or or from the stars. So that's when I made him an ancient astronaut, and of course that's von Daniken, and I had also read a lot of Sitchin and the Anunnaki, and gosh, the story was starting to come together. That what Plato says is that Poseidon was a god who came to earth. His portion that was given to him was Atlantis, this continent, and he falls in love with a woman named Cleito, who is an Aboriginal woman, an Earth girl. So basically, what I had was a Neolithic woman falling in love with a spaceman. And so it's sort of Clan of the Cave Bear meets Thor.
Yeah, right.
And
well, let me jump in really quick before we hit the break. I have had this translated, via Rita over the last few days.
Yes.
And so I'm not going to ask you to give away the back half of the book because I haven't read it yet, so there's no reason for me to go there. And but in the first 30 or 40 pages, you set up a couple of incredible things, and then you've changed a couple of things. So I'm interested on how you and why you did the things that you did. First off, you have the planetary collisions that Sitchin references,
right?
And you chose to do that. And why don't you kind of walk me through that with the creation of the and then out to of course the asteroid belt. You address all of these, and then you have a colony on Mars, and all of this. I want the audience to know that this is
become readers,
right? And they will after the show. I promise. Is this is the setup for the story? And it's pretty incredible. Now, so
what happened was I had to. This is one of when I chose to pick my old, my original manuscript up and redo it right. I realized it turned out it's now twice as long as it was. It's a 1,000-page book now. The first half is the second half is being written right now, but I needed to finally find out who was Poseidon. Where did he come from? So I figured out I didn't want, because I wanted it to be believable, and because we don't know yet. Our civilization doesn't know how to get to a distant star. We don't have that ability to get outside of our solar system. But I figured if there was a civilization that was in our solar system, that would be believable. I could imagine the people from a star in our solar system being able to get to Earth, being able to get to Mars. And so I chose Planet X. Thank you very much, Zechariah Sitchin.
Right.
Because that is in our solar system, but it's got this crazy long elliptical orbit that takes it way out into deep space. I thought this is perfect. That Poseidon and his brother, Athens, would live in a society that is an advanced technological society on a planet that is, for a short period of its orbit, close enough to the sun that it could have life and light and all that, but for the greater part of its orbit, it's out in the dark and the cold, and so it is now a dying planet, the civilization of which has to live under domes, and it's dependent on a technology that I call Phaetron technology, which is based on the idea that everything is vibration. And if you harness vibration, you can do everything and anything.
Well, and I often wondered, like everybody does, with Nibiru,
Yes.
swinging by, or Planet X, whatever you want to call it, swinging by and then heading back out into the darkness, then it's not heated. Of course, Sitchin addresses it somewhat too as well, that it's heated from the inside, and that's good. It's a theory, and we have to believe in something, that they would sustain. But you address it differently, almost when they're out there. And I thought that this was brilliant, that they're actually like in hibernation mode.
Yes, for that all that 3,200 years, for most of that orbit, they put themselves into what I call pseudomort, a false death, which keeps them from aging, and so that they wake themselves up when they're closer into the sun, when they can have more of a normal life. And
do you know how brilliant that is, by the way?
Thank you very much. No, I just did it.
I mean, I had tried to tackle that issue in my own mind for so many years, as we all have, because it's an issue. It's an issue that's right there. But here's the rub. The rub is that this planet, which I call Teres, is dependent. Dependent for life on Phaetron technology, and Phaetron technology is dependent on a certain ore called titanium, and titanium is something that they've always had enough of, but then pretty recently they discovered it was finite on their planet. And so they're in a bit of a panic, because without titanium, they have no Phaetron technos, and they therefore would all die. It would be the end of an extinction of their race. If they can't keep themselves, they can't keep their domes going, they can't keep their pseudomort going. So they are forced, and this is the beginning of the book that you were talking about. It starts on Teres, and we learn of the problem that they have, and the fact that that titanium has been found on Mars in large amounts. It's enough that will take care of their planet forever, basically. And this was on past expeditions. And in fact, it was Poseidon, who was a geologist, who found it and had become a hero, the greatest hero, because he's saving the civilization. And so they've launched, the Teresians have launched a expedition to Mars, to start a colony to mine titanium and send it back to the home planet. And for that, a governor, and they ask Poseidon if he will do it, but he doesn't want to. He has the wanderlust, and he's more of an explorer than he is a geologist, and he doesn't really want to govern a mining planet. So he says, "Look, if you want to thank me for what I did, send me to the other expedition, to our sister planet, Earth, or Gaia, I should call it. That's what they call it." And there have been other expeditions, thousands and thousands of years. Every time the Teresians come close enough to the inner planets, they'll send an expedition to Earth, to Gaia, to kind of screw around with the evolved primates. Well,
and
let's take a break right there.
Ball of wax, right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll pick that up right after the break. Our guest tonight is Robin Maxwell. Her new book is Atlantos, 10,000 BC, Earth and Mars and Atlantis. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be back more with Robin Maxwell right after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth, and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow us on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio. Come hang out in the sandbox, which is hashtag F2B. Tonight, our guest is author Robin Maxwell, and we're discussing her new book, Atlantos. And Robin, did I hear you say, this is like a yes or no question. Did you say that you're writing the second half and it's another 500 pages? It's a 1,000-page story?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to.
Atlantos is just the origin story. It's the origin and the rise.
You're having fun, aren't you?
I am. But here's the thing. People are really responding well to book one, but it's kind of light and cheery. I mean, it's got great drama, but when you get to book two, we're talking about the fall of this civilization that, you know, we've come to love, and it's a much darker piece, and it's getting into some of the scarier aliens and aliens and monsters. Well, there are a few monsters in book one, but this is called Atlantos, the Early Earth Chronicles, book one, and the second book that I'm a good ways in, probably 2/3 of the way in. That's called Children of Ra, and that's book 2 of the earliest chronicles.
Well, the quick answer is I can kind of hope and see where you're going with it, but but it probably won't be that. Were you a fan, or did you follow Joseph Campbell?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, so because you do the hero's tale so well, and you can't go wrong, right? If you
can't.
If you follow the
can't.
rules, right? But it's a great format that you write in, and it puts the possibility of what if out there as well, and it's great for the younger generation too as well.
Well, there's a part of this book that is a cautionary tale, because I haven't even begun to talk about what the character, the protagonist's problem is. And here is a man who comes to Earth, and he is looked at as a god, but he is to himself just a man with advanced technology. He does not want to be seen as a god, and all through both novels he's struggling struggling with this problem. He has technology, but he doesn't want to use it. I mean, he has to build a civilization. He ends up building this city, or of this fabulous city, Atlantos. And he doesn't want the people who are going to inhabit it to break their backs like the slaves of Egypt. He doesn't want them to do that. So he's forced to use his technology. But for the rest of his life, he's trying not to use it. And there are problems with that. But
did you did you get Göbekli Tepe into either one of the books?
No, because it happened. From what I understand, it would have happened afterwards. What Graham Hancock calls the magicians of the gods. That's his new book.
Right.
The magicians of the gods are the survivors of Atlantis. So, and there will be, I'll say this, there will be survivors of the second book, and they would have been the ones who kind of spread out onto the different continents and were the teachers of building, in South America, in Egypt, or at Göbekli Tepe. But from my understanding, that was around 11,500 years old. Is that your understanding too?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It puts it right at 10,000 BC.
Yeah. So I didn't get it in. In fact, when I wrote the first draft of it, we didn't know about Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be your answer, but I can help you weave it in. I can help you. The power of suggestion. Right now, I'm going, and you'll get. But what about the other magical dates that Bauval and Hancock reference? The alignment of Sirius and
12,800. This is something that I just learned in the last couple of years. And when I met Graham in 2014 in September, he was out here for what was it called? Synchronicity, about consciousness. Right. And that's when I met him, and that he was already talking about the comet that struck the ice shelf of North America in 12,800. I mean, they know this date, and that caused the beginning of a period called the Younger Dryas, and that it melted the ice cap. There was a massive, massive flood at that point. And then about 1,200 years later, and okay, there was a flood, but then it kind of threw the Earth into another ice age, except for the kind of the belt, the equatorial belt, and that's where whatever civilizations could have come about would have had to have happened in the warmer climates, in the more temperate climates. So that's where I placed my Atlantos. But so that was 12,800 years ago. And then at 11,600 years, there was another big catastrophe. I don't know, and I don't think they know for sure. Graham Hancock thinks that it might have been a second comet from a piece of the same comet that came around again.
Right.
But they're not sure about that one. I also talked to Randall Carlson, who was I love this title. He's a researcher in catastrophic geology, and that's who Graham traveled with across the country to see the results of the comet on the ice cap. And when I asked him, did the Atlantis catastrophe, the 11,600 year catastrophe, was that certainly a comet? And he said he didn't know. I think they're leaning toward it, but I have to say, in my book, it's not that. It's more volcanic and seismic. But what was your question? It was about.
Sirius, the alignment of Giza, and of course the Great Sphinx.
Well, those are all, if I'm not mistaken, they're all tied to the 12,800 date. That the constellations that the Sphinx is facing Leo.
Yes.
In 12,800, and I think that's true about Orion and the pyramids. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that the Sphinx is facing Leo in 12,800. But so what I do in my book, that has already happened 1,200 years previous when my scientific team, so it's not just Poseidon who comes, it's a elite team of scientists who are coming to explore and to there's a geneticist named Talia who is a main character. She has her eye on Poseidon, as romantic as Teresians can be, which is not real romantic, but she's decided he should be the father of her children, and she has come. She's the head of the genetic team, and they're setting out to continue the work that their previous expeditions have done, which is following the line of evolution, bringing what is already a fully human, 12,000 years ago.
Right.
People were Cro-Magnon man for sure, but they don't have culture. They don't. They may have language, but they don't have high culture, and that's what they're planning to do with this with these. And what happens, of course, is that Poseidon falls in love with the most evolved female on the planet, and one of the reasons that she's so evolved, and I don't know if Rita told you this, is because she is a mushroom shaman.
Yes.
Yeah.
She mentioned it to me briefly. I've been asking just for the overview. I don't want the details because I can't wait to read it. Well, okay, let me ask you this. I haven't gotten this out of Rita yet. With the 10,000 BC timeline, and we know that the Graham Hancock and Bivol and Robert Schoch and John Anthony West, predating everything and turning history on its ear. So the Giza Plateau in your book is already there, right? So
no, it's about to happen in book 2. I'm gonna take all of the civilizations. So Atlantis would be the first, but the Giza Plateau is about to come into being, and so is ancient. And when I say ancient Greece, I mean Greece was not supposed to be the civilization that we know it as until
400 BC.
And this we're talking about 12,000 years ago, 10,000 BC, and but that's what's in Plato. Plato. Here's the main mystery. What I've always done with all of my historical fiction books, they're not just stories. I always have a mystery that I solve with each of my books. And the mystery that I wanted to solve with Atlantos was, Plato says at the end of Critias, one of his dialogues that describes Atlantis in great detail, right near the end, he says that human beings became, in this fabulous, idyllic, utopian society of Atlantis, became debased, and they became greedy, and they became violent, and they lost their godliness and had really sunk to great depths. And what they did is they went to war with Athens. And shortly after that, Atlantis sinks beneath the waves. And sadly, Plato dies before he finishes this book. But what we're left with is this idea that Atlantis went to war with Athens. And I always wondered, well, first of all, Athens wasn't supposed to be there. Athens was not in existence for most historians. So my question was, the mystery was, why did Atlantis go to war with Athens? And my answer to that was that Athens wasn't just a city. Athens was his brother. And we all know about sibling rivalry and hatred between brothers. And and it's a classic story, rival brothers. And so this is what I did. And in book 2, we will find out why he goes to war with Atlantis, where he goes to war with Athens. And
well, let me ask you, because when you research Plato and you read Plato, and then you go through the arguments throughout history on what Plato was actually doing, was it imagination? Was it
myth, allegory?
Yes. Was it that? Was it Chinese myth? Was it Egyptian? Was it just stuff that he had heard over the years and just decided to write something great? Or was he, is it a historical document?
Well, I have to say that's a really good point, Jimmy. And I want to say that nobody questions that Plato was, the greatest Greek philosopher. Everybody respects him. He's revered without question. When it comes to Timaeus and the Critias, his two dialogues about Atlantis, suddenly historians who don't want to know anything about prehistory unless it's along the lines of the traditional historians, they start saying, well, he didn't really mean it. He meant it as an allegory. It was about the democratic state. It was about the republic. It was, and he didn't really mean that this happened 9,000 years before his time. He must have made a mistake. He must have meant 900 years. So everybody's starting to second guess Plato because what he's saying doesn't jibe with what the traditional beliefs are about history and prehistory. That's why there are lots of historians, who have been looking for Atlantis, who say it was Thera exploding in the Mediterranean Sea 900 years ago, or 900 years before Plato, because it fits their pre-existing scenario. They don't want to take Plato at his word. I do take Plato at his word. That's one of my, basic premises, that he didn't make it up. And the other thing, there are at least two places in his dialogues where he says, this is not a myth. This is the true history of the world. He got this story from Solon, who visited the Nile Delta and saw the pillars in the temple with the priests and the Egyptian priests.
That had the original history and story on it, and we've never been able to locate those pillars. They're probably there. They've just been either defaced or rewritten.
Yeah, exactly. But he goes into such minute detail, and he says it. He says it. Don't think that this is a myth. This is the true history of the world. It's one of the first things I've got in my book. I quote Plato saying that. And he says it was 9,000 years before his time. And that's going to put it right at the time of the end of the Ice Age. So I don't know.
And that's a great point, and you address it directly. Did you also address? I don't know how to word this because I have my own theories and opinions too. But the missing link. Not only the missing link historically through Homo sapiens sapien, you just mentioned Cro-Magnon as well. Sitchin certainly addressed it directly, but the missing link of knowledge.
Yes, exactly. It's the evolution of human consciousness.
Yes.
That's always been my fascination as well. We have a lot in common of our fascinations, but because they're finding it seems like every month they're finding new species, that were alive, at the same time that Neanderthals were alive. There's the Denisovans. No, how do you pronounce it?
Yeah, I can't. You did better than me.
The Florensis, the ones that are in Java, the little people, the hobbits.
Yep.
And the red deer cave people. I mean, they're finding all these new species, but they haven't figured out yet. And I don't even know if anybody's looking for this. How did we go from Stone Age to building the pyramids?
Yeah.
How the hell did we do that? Nobody has an answer for that, and that's what fascinates me. And so, of course, in my book, I have a man who has technology who can do it. And if it's levitating rocks, then that's how it's done. That's what I have for an answer. Because I don't believe that the pyramids were built 4,000 years ago. I mean, if you look at
it's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. It's impossible. You know, Robin, the audience right now just laughed. 200,000 people right now laughed at the same time that listen to this show every single day, because that is one of the things that gets under my skin.
Oh, yeah, I know.
For academia to ask us to swallow that Stone Age man, when the rest of the world, right, at 3,000 BC, 4,000 BC, that the rest of the world was foraging for seeds in the dirt, wearing animal skins, walking around with clubs and stone tool, and living an existence like that, nomadic, and then suddenly just showed up in the middle of the Egyptian desert on the Giza Plateau and said, "Hey, let's level out 13 hectares of limestone bedrock, and enough to support 2,500 stones. Right. Let's just do that, and let's build it to direct north. Let's do that. Now, how about let's make it 42 stories tall? What do you guys say?"
But even more than that,
happen.
I mean,
it didn't happen. It just didn't. It didn't happen like that. It just
not
didn't.
Even just that they were able to stack those blocks. If you're inside the pyramid, the way those stones are put together and angled, and how did they do that? We can't do it today.
And wouldn't do it today.
Do it today.
And wouldn't do it.
And wouldn't do it right.
No, not at all. And there's something else that I just find this really, really hard to swallow, that the Egyptologists want us to believe that they built, that wonderful period at 2500 BC, that they built 100 pyramids across Egypt that are remarkable in size. The amount of work that it would take to build the Great Pyramid, right? They're throwing the 25 years, every 2 minutes they carved and placed a stone and so forth. They want us to swallow that. Okay, so if they just built the one pyramid and had the manpower to do that, I would kind of try to wrap my head around it. But to do it 100 times,
I know.
To move the civilization all over Egypt, no, it just didn't happen that way.
And they call us crackpots.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That really bugs the crap out of me.
Well, and when I was talking about, we're going to be against a break here in 1 minute. When I was talking about that gap of knowledge that we're addressing right now at 3,000 BC, and if you back up another 7,000 years and we go to your magic number of 10,000 BC, there's this huge gap that they want us to think that existed. At 10,000 BC, Göbekli Tepe surfaced. 7,000 years before the Great Pyramid.
I know.
So wait a minute here. You can't have it both ways.
Right.
You didn't have a civilization 7,000 years before that had the capability and the technology to do Göbekli Tepe and then just drop out of sight, and then 7,000 years later just pop up out of the desert and build the Great Pyramid.
What about Gunung Padang?
Yeah, that's
22,000.
Add another 10,000 years to that. That's absolutely right. Our guest tonight is Robin Maxwell. Her new book is Atlantos. I'm having a fantastic conversation. You guys, this audience is spoiled. And I am Jimmy Church. More with Robin Maxwell when we come back. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Why do people order Life Change tea? Because Life Change Tea helps the digestive system. Life Change Tea helps the colon unclog. The tea also helps with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and many, many other health issues. Life Change Tea also tastes great. And Life Change Tea is not just green tea. Life Change Tea is a unique blend of 8 different herbs that go to town, cleaning your body of harmful toxins, bacteria, and parasites. Our tea is number 1. Are you ready for your life change? Let the tea help you. Log on to our online store of helpful products to get your body on track. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. Not all tea is equal. Read our website of all the factual testimonies that prove that Life Change Tea is working. Health is important, and our quality of life is very important. Don't wait to order. Expect a life change with Life Change Tea at getthetea.com.
Hi, I'm Richard Dolan. When I'm not hosting my radio program, The Richard Dolan Show on KGRA, or writing new books on UFOs, I run a publishing company. I'm proud to say that Richard Dolan Press has published some of the most fascinating books available on UFOs and related subjects. They include Dr. Bruce Maccabee's classic analysis of the UFO cover-up, David Marler's breakthrough book on triangular UFOs, Dr. Richard Sauter's unique work on underground bases, and other classics by Grant Cameron, Chase Kletsky, and Dr. Bob Wood, not to mention intriguing works by Eve Lorgan and Laurie MacDonald that deal with truly bizarre phenomena. I'm proud to publish such high-quality and original works, and there are several amazing books about to be released over the next few months. Go to richarddolanpress.com to learn more.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482? No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony. Damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest is author Robin Maxwell. Yeah, she just blew my frontal lobes all over the studio with that last comment. It's really true. It's impossible, Robin. And I got to tell you, I just jumped over to one of our chat rooms. They are loving you, Robin.
Yeah?
Yeah. I won't embarrass you right now, but the accolades. And somebody just said, this just came across to say happy birthday. Did you just have a birthday?
I did, February 26th.
Do we have a smart audience or what?
How did they find that out?
Yeah, there you go. All right. Yeah, it's and so I guess the reason why I'm asking, I think it's an important point to address here, that it's so obvious as we move along in our humanity, in our knowledge, and in our quest for knowledge, we're starting to figure out that history is crap. Right?
Yeah.
And you used that word earlier. Thank you for using it, because it's really true that it's not, the narrative is not correct. And as we get smarter, we mature, and we're able to now look back at the way history was supposed to have been, and the way that we know that it is, right? That there are these gaps, and there are things out there that just don't make sense, that we have been told, that is fact. And a lot of it was based on, a majority of Egyptology and a lot of history is based on, British explorers from the 1880s that were drinking a lot and opium abuse or whatever, you know. But they're out there traveling the world, and they see things, and they wrote things down, and that just went down as history. And that's what we base it on.
Even our greatest minds, our greatest alternative minds, and it's a shame we have to even call them alternative, but our prehistorians, the ones that we all respect so much, they're still considered crackpots. They're, you know, that blows my mind.
Well, only because they don't want to take the time to reprint a bunch of books. You know, that's I just feel like that's it. They're in their safe zone. You know, they're tenured. They're
their
on
whole
their
careers
yes.
are based on the old school.
That's right.
And if they start changing it now, they're going to look like idiots, I suppose.
Well, there's more. Look, I keep mentioning Göbekli Tepe, but Göbekli Tepe, quite frankly, and Gadam Patang too as well, just weren't supposed to exist. Okay,
No,
we're not supposed to exist.
Particularly Göbekli Tepe is that's actually accepted by almost everybody now.
Well, they've done all the carbon dating.
Yeah, they can't deny that.
No, they've done so much carbon dating, so many different types of carbon dating, and it's all, you know, coming up with the same dates that it is what it is. It's there. Yeah. That argument is over. What they haven't done, and this is the truth, Robin, this is where that's why I say Göbekli. Oh, just so you know, every time I say Göbekli Tepe on this show, the audience has to drink. So
is that why you say
that's right. So in the last 30 minutes, you know, they're starting to tap out right now. Enough, church. But this is the truth. Göbekli Tepe should be on the evening news. It should be discussed. It is that important. It is life-changing, world-changing stuff. It rewrites everything. But yet it's not there. It should be just like, you know, Howard Carter and King Tut's tomb.
Right.
You know, that was a big deal. Well, so was Göbekli Tepe. Bigger. It's a bigger deal. You know, and it is ignored because they don't want
Planet X. Look at what just happened a couple weeks ago with Planet X.
Absolutely.
Mainstream. What's not NASA? What's the other one? Caltech?
Yeah, Caltech. Mike Brown did. Well, see, you know what's funny about that? Mike Brown is the guy that led the drive to eliminate Pluto as a planet. Yeah, so he was that guy. So I think he was just trying to redeem himself. You know, he was. But absolutely, there's something out there, and the disturbance is that so many alternative guys like Sitchin and well, you know, it actually went back way before Percival Lowell, the famous astronomer, the Lowell Observatory and so forth. He was looking for. He knew that there were disturbances with gravity out there,
right?
And he couldn't figure it out. So he was looking for, you know, this extra planet, and he looked for it forever, and then Pluto was discovered. And so it kind of, at the time, even though he didn't fully agree, he said, look, Pluto's too small to have that gravitational effect, you know, but Pluto was placed out there, and there was, you know, the extra planet that people were talking about. But so that conversation and that search for this planet's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, but it's funny because just in the last, I'd say, in the last couple of years, as you know, I was finishing up the Atlantos, getting it ready for publication. I went back to see what the most recent research was on Planet X, and just as recently as like 2 years ago, the mainstream was saying no, this is just bullshit. This is not a real thing. And They were calling whatever scientists that mentioned Planet X quacks and cranks, and now here it is, less than 2 years later, mainstream astronomers are saying, yeah, it's very, very likely that there's a big planet out there in the elliptical orbit of Nibiru.
And you know what's really nutty. This is what's really crazy, and I was talking to Walter Cruttenden a lot about this. Is the elliptical orbit that Mike Brown and his team are proposing is a 20,000. Right.
Yeah.
But what is
3,200 or 3,600?
But it's 10,000 years passing us. It's 20,000 years, but every 10,000 years it's swinging by here. And you start to think about that. It's 10,000 plus 10,000. But he had also split that in half and said it could be 5,000. So then you start to look at the implications of what that would mean here, not only with what Magicians of the Gods and what Graham has been proposing, but a lot of other things come into play. You have Göbekli Tepe at 10,000 BC. You have the Sirius and Cygnus implications that come into play. You have Leo and those constellations, and so a lot of things occur right around that period. And if that elliptical orbit, you're the guest and I'm talking, I apologize
but you're making a lot of sense, and it's all stuff that I think about.
Well, it's really true. And so when we start to look at the fringe alternative prehistorians that we're talking about right now, in the end, they're all going to be able to stand up and go, you know what, check this out. All right, I've been saying this for a long time. Right. So there's vindication right around the corner. I feel it coming. I really do.
I agree. But they're fighting harder than ever. Do you happen to catch that back and forth between Zahi Hawass and Graham in Egypt?
Yeah.
Oh.
I felt horrible about that. I'll say this: Zahi is a little he's a little upset that he's not the Prince of Egypt anymore.
Right.
Okay, so he's got that chip on his shoulder. That's the first thing. The second, I think that his steadfastness and not willing to look at other theories over the years, not only just with Graham and Bivol lately, but over the years. Him covering his ears and not listening. The thing is, where Zahi got it way wrong and lost a lot of respect from around the world, is that the reason why things get invented and the reason why thoughts and creativeness and imagination happens is because people think outside of the box. Otherwise the world would still be flat right now. Okay.
Yes, but one of the things that really it was almost unbelievable. In the midst of this argument that they were having, Graham said something about Göbekli Tepe. So is everybody taking a drink, even though I said it?
Yes,
anyway,
yes, they are.
And
well played, Robin. Well played.
Hawass refused to acknowledge that he even had heard of it.
Göbekli Tepe does not exist. Göbekli Tepe does not exist. I never heard of it. I will make a phone call. You are thrown out of the country. Graham Hancock, you do not exist. Yeah. You do not exist. You are not the man. Bivol is not the man. I am Zahi Hawass, and I have spoken. And poor Graham, he's just like, dude, what are you doing? You're tripping out, man. Relax. We got a show to do tonight. Can't we just talk through this? It's the theory, not the man. No, it's not the man. You are not the man. Okay, that's it. I've done my. Don't get me fired up.
Impersonation.
Oh, they're already posting.
Anybody do an impersonation of him? That was excellent.
They are posting our memes of Zahi Hawass. This one just popped up. It's Hall of Records. There are no Hall of Records. Do not even mention Edgar Casey's name. The topic is closed. I closed Detroit. I closed Chicago. I closed Bangkok. I closed Los Angeles. It's closed. I am Zahi Hawass. Yeah, I felt so bad. And Graham, listen, Graham, if you're listening, I think we offended Graham a little bit because we were making fun of Zahi and that blow up, and we posted a bunch of memes, and I think that Graham just wanted it to just go away because he's a good guy, he's a cool dude.
Oh yeah,
and he just wanted it to die out, and we were fanning those flames.
He posted it on Facebook himself.
Oh no, yeah, he posted the video. I'm saying that we went crazy with the memes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh man. So back to Zahi. This is the thing. Is that when you go and you say something like, I've never heard of Göbekli Tepe, and you're supposed to be the head of antiquities in Egypt, and the director of everything, and you want to sit here and try to tell the world that you've never heard of Göbekli Tepe? Come on. You know, that just deflated everything for me. It's just, and that's my point with him. He just does not want to listen to anybody. When John Anthony West and Robert Schoch did their analysis on the Sphinx and won an Emmy Award, and that documentary was incredible, and it changed things. For him to stand in denial about all of that, and when he knew that the rest of the world were starting to maybe look at maybe there's something else to this, because Giza doesn't make any sense.
No,
it just doesn't make any sense, and we're trying to answer these questions, and he didn't want to help. You know, and that's his fault.
That makes him look foolish, unfortunately, but.
Now, let's talk about this for a second. When I want to go back to Atlantis, because we're talking about Egypt, and obviously we have this raw connection that you're evolving into and alluding to. I didn't do it; you did it. Did Atlantis look like Egypt? Did it have that vibe? Did it have that look?
No, I don't think so. I don't. It's hard to say, but. I think that Poseidon's temple was probably a pyramid. That's how I'm portraying it. I think the whole phenomenon of pyramids all over the world cannot be discounted in any way. It's such a vast amount, not just in Egypt. There are pyramids everywhere, all over the world. And, but I don't think that this idea of the concentric circles, you don't see that at all in Egypt. And that was the most famous aspect of the city of Atlantis.
Well, yeah, Plato's description, certainly.
Plato's description,
yes, right. Well, but then you have the
other descriptions. It's Plato or nothing when it comes to Atlantis. There are no other historians.
What about the stone circles all over South Africa and Michael Tellinger?
You know, I'm only just learning about them. Really, I think when I went to the 2014 contact in the desert, that's when I learned about them. I don't know everything. I kind of know the things that I know, but they're really interesting. But I haven't done enough study to be able to talk intelligently about them.
But what it does do is it starts to tell us that that there is more to ancient history.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that wasn't. There are, I think, Michael's last calculation, and it's a crazy number, Robin.
Oh, it's
in the millions.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I did hear that. But even more interesting to me is the number of sunken monuments or cities. I mean, there's Dwarka off of the northeast coast of India, the city that still exists of Dwarka, but there's that's in, I think, 120 feet of water. There's Yanaguni off of Japan. There's that big complex under. It may not be that deep.
It's not deep, and Shock kind of bummed me out with that. He
said it was just natural formations.
My eyes don't see that. I mean, I look at something pretty incredible.
I don't think that's made out of
right angles and avenues and roads. And you know what? I think Robin just dropped off. You know what? I didn't even need to say anything. I'll just pull her back. But there you are. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's what happens when you start talking about the suppression of history and the Cuban government, right?
Wow. Well, I'm afraid I didn't hear your answer. I'd like to hear it, but
there's something there. I think that the Cuban government knows that something is there, and they want to have the glory with that, but they don't have the money or the resources to go and do it.
Apparently, it's pretty deep. That I kept reading that it was in such deep water. It was not an easy thing to explore. They had to use a unmanned sub to do anything.
That's right, but the Titanic was in 15,000 feet too, as well. I mean, right. There's a way to get there. An unmanned drone, submersible with cameras on it at 3,000 feet is no issue. I think this is at 500 feet. I want to say. I think it's 500 feet. Which is, it's too deep to dive, but it's not too deep for a submersible, and it's certainly not too deep for an unmanned submersible.
Right, exactly.
And I wanted to ask you this earlier. You, the metal that they were going for on Mars wasn't gold.
No, it wasn't.
You ended up, but you addressed that later.
Yeah, no, what happens is they build their mines, and they're kind of fabulous deep mines, and it's all, using the advanced technology to do the mining. And below it, they discover gold. And what happens is the colonists, they're 5,000 Teresian colonists who, first of all, they're very happy to be on a planet that has sun, and they turn into a bunch of hedonists is what happens to the Marsian colonists. And when gold is discovered, it becomes mania with them, and they go gold mad. And so they're doing the mining of the titanium, and they're dutifully sending it back to the home planet so that the home planet can survive. But they decide, we're not going back to that dark, dreadful place, so you have to live under a dome. We're going to stay here and have fun in the sun and with our gold. And they kind of become a greedy, materialistic society. And, of course, they will end up on Earth, and that's where the trouble starts.
We're gonna be up against our last break. Do you want to take some phone calls and hang out for a few more minutes? And,
sure.
And we'll bring in the audience.
Yeah.
What are you going to be talking about directly at Contact in the Desert? What's your presentation there?
The name of my presentation is the ancient astronauts of Atlantos and the truth about Planet X.
How are you? You've been to Contact in the Desert. One of the coolest things about Contact in the Desert is the warmth, the vibe that is there.
Yeah,
dare
acceptance.
I say the Woodstock of Joshua Tree.
Yes, the Woodstock of UFOs is what.
No doubt about it.
USA Today called it that.
This is going to be not only this show tonight, and thank you for that. And the audience doesn't really know, but this is like your coming out party.
I know it is. Yeah, I'm a debutante in the in the UFO world. Nobody knows me. Well, maybe they will after tonight.
Yeah,
but,
they certainly know about you now. That is for sure.
But I expect to have a wonderful time, and I'll see you there. Won't I? You're be live.
We'll be broadcasting live, and
Yeah.
now I believe the next day, the panel that you're on, I think you are just after me, so we'll be able to hang out there too as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're doing a panel that day too as well on Saturday. But let's take a break, and then I'm going to open up the phone lines, and let's take some calls. I think it's going to be totally cool. And let's do that. Let me hit a couple of buttons. You stay right there. Our guest tonight is Robin Maxwell. Her new book is Atlantos. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. Your calls next with Robin Maxwell. I'll be right back.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Another winter, another cold and flu season. This year, try Sweet Annie's Herbs FACS formula. FACS means flu, allergy, cold, and sinus relief. Vitamin C, echinacea, golden seal, and propolis. Nature's antibiotic and antiviral remedy. Karen from Springfield says, amazing product, a miracle worker for me. Go to sweetannie.com and order FACS today. Use promo code TALK for free shipping. This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. TalkStream Live, now available in the iTunes App Store.
Hello, Fadernauts. Are you looking for the ultimate Bluetooth speaker system? Well, check this out. The Studio Dome surround sound system, featuring the Studio Dome 1 SD1 and the Studio Boombox SBB wireless Bluetooth speakers, is the perfect way to get surround sound without all of the cable headaches. With its own hard shell custom carrying case for taking your surround sound experience on the go. Each hard shell case comes packed with an SBB, 2 SD1s, cables, and power. It's just $99, and you use the promo code Jimmy, and you get yourself some free shipping. Once again, Studio Dome brings you the best deal on the net. Anywhere. Just go to the Studio Dome banner, JimmyChurchRadio.com, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Doing a little overtime tonight with Robin Maxwell, discussing her book Atlantos. And thank you, Robin, for hanging on with us for a few more minutes. And I wanted to ask you, as I'm waiting for the calls to come in, when you look back at history and you in your study of the genre, what's the best evidence for you, to you, about visitation here, either ancient alien theory or maybe modern phenomena?
Well, my earliest belief had to do with the Dogon tribe of Mali. And in 1931, I believe it was, a couple of anthropologists went and lived with this tribe. And they had information about the orbit, the elliptical orbit of Sirius B, a star around the star system of star Sirius. They knew the length of the orbit, the number of years of the orbit. They had information about the moons of Jupiter, the rings of Saturn. They knew a lot about Sirius B, that it was the heaviest thing, they said, the heaviest thing there is. And it turns out it's a white dwarf, which is a very, very heavy kind of star. And it was not, and Sirius B was not visible to the naked eye. And they've had this information for hundreds, if not thousands, probably thousands of years. And in a book by Temple, I forgot his first name, Robert Temple, called The Sirius Mystery. This was my first research that I had done. And funnily enough, Carl Sagan, in his, remember the original Cosmos, he said that, at least on first glance, that the knowledge of the Dogon was the best evidence of extraterrestrial visitation in the distant past. Now, he said that, and then I don't know what happened with Carl Sagan, but he backtracked. He went and he started denying that it could have been something like that, you know. And he said, "Oh, these anthropologists' evidence was contaminated," and that anyway. But that convinced me back then that there was visitation in the distant past. That was my beginning of it. And then, well, I shouldn't say that, because Eric von Däniken, you know, and his first book, it really, all he did was he asked the questions. How can this be? How can we have these buildings? How, and some of the cave paintings and some of the images in ancient Egyptian tombs. I mean, you see things that you can't deny that they are either UFOs, they're some kind of ships, or they look like what we consider graves. Those were my first the first evidence that convinced me. And then everything I've read, maybe I'm prone to think that way. But it makes sense to me. You know, I'm not just a liberty gibbet, the old-fashioned word. I mean, I'm a serious historian, and I believe it.
When we look at, Sitchin brought a lot of stuff to light.
Oh, yeah, I have to, him too.
But even if you take Sitchin out of the play, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you just take, okay, let's put the 12th planet on the shelf and let's not discuss that.
Okay.
But if we look at all of the firsts that happened in Iraq, everything known to man happened in a day. We're talking about organized farming, religion, government, mathematics, writing, everything, the wheel, right? Everything just happened. You know, look, we just did it.
I know.
You know, one day we just decided, I put my mind around this thought. It's really funny, but the cave woman comes home to her husband, right?
Yeah.
And walks in, and he's sitting there like the thinker, right? He's got his hand on his head on his hand, and he's sitting. And what are you doing, honey? Well, you know what? I was just thinking about this wheat thing, you know, and we need to domesticate wheat, you know, because we just need to bake a better bread. We need to do a better beer. And you know what? How about apples and figs and dates? Let's just, I got it. We're going to domesticate. We're going to create farming today because I'm just stumped on. No, it didn't happen like that.
I know.
It just, there's
Somebody
just no
brought
way.
it to them. Somebody taught them.
The thought of that. Dennis just wanted me to ask you this question.
Yeah.
Did you work from a detailed outline after all of that research?
I always do. I always write like 50, 60, 75 page book proposals. Yeah. And which makes writing the book such an easy thing. Yeah. I have a certain way of outlining, and yes, the fast answer is I always work from a detailed outline, and so I know the beginning, not only the beginning, the middle, and the end, but I have pretty much each paragraph is a chapter. So I know basically what happens in each chapter. Sometimes I'll even have bits of dialogue in a proposal. But yeah, there.
Here's another. This question comes up so often, and I think it's on the front of everybody's mind, especially when we talk with somebody like yourself. Which is, please ask Robin. This is from Deuce Guy. Please ask Robin how Mesopotamia, Sumeria, and the Epic of Gilgamesh fit into your narrative.
Oh, this is so funny that you should ask that. I just bought the other day on my audible.com the I'm trying to remember his name, one of the more recent translations, and I'm listening currently to the Epic of Gilgamesh on audible.com. I listened to a bunch of it today. Even though I referred to it and had used basically from Sitchin, I had taken some of that information. I had never read the Epic of Gilgamesh myself until this week. So it's fitting in a very funny way. From what I've learned so far, Gilgamesh and Enkidu, his wild man friend, lover, actually, they, in their journey, they meet, I can't remember his name now, but he's the Noah. He's the Noah character, who brings the knowledge from what I expect is Atlantis to Sumeria.
That's right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have figured out for the end of my book, I don't want to give too much away, but that one of my main characters is that person, is the Noah character, so that he's a survivor of Atlantos, and he would, in fact, I even considered, if there's a book 3 in my Early Earth Chronicles, it would be maybe Gilgamesh. It would be Sumeria. It would be how the knowledge that came from the survivors of Atlantis the magicians of the gods, basically, how they took their knowledge and spread it out to Sumeria, to South America, all the civilizations that ended up with Egypt like that. So,
well, what conclusion have you come to when we talk about those catastrophes and the Great Flood and that mythology that is cross? It's cross. Yeah, it's everywhere. Either, I mean, there's only two answers for this. Either it was passed down word of mouth, and it happened to go transoceanic and it was able to flood into every civilization, or it really happened.
Oh, I think it really happened, and I think I do believe the comet striking the 2-mile deep ice shelf in North America. I'm convinced that that's what caused the first of the floods, and the sinking of certain coastal areas where there might have been civilizations. But I also believe that there was a second catastrophe, and that although I'm not quite sure what caused it, but I absolutely believe in the Great Deluge. There's no doubt in my mind that it happened. I think it's ridiculous to think that every civilization, every ancient civilization has the same flood story. And I think it's ridiculous to call it myth. I don't think it's myth. I think it's history.
Two last questions before I let you go. And we've got some phone issues here. So sorry, everybody that's calling in, but it's just the way that it is, and I can't do anything about it. What do you do when you wake up in the morning and you know you got to work and you just can't, and it doesn't come? What do you do?
Well, that's a good question. But it doesn't happen that often, because it's not that I have to work. It's that I'm dying to work. When I'm writing about stuff like this, I can't wait to wake up. Because and if one of those days happens and the words aren't coming, I just go to something I'm really excited about. This is my general writer's block advice for anybody. If you're in the midst of writing, let's say a book, a novel, and you get to a place where you're blocked, I say, forget chronology. Just think of something that you haven't written, that you're wildly excited about writing, and work on that. Don't be stuck in what you think you should write. Go to something that you're fascinated with, and if you can't actually write, then go back to something like outlining. Go back to a character, and go back to your character sketches, and just get stoned and think about it.
Right.
That's what I do.
That's good advice.
Oh, it's the best.
This is the $1 million question, and I know you're going to laugh.
Okay.
How do you find a good literary agent?
Oh my God! Don't get me started on the publishing business.
It's tough, isn't it?
I have the same. Thank goodness, I have the same agent I had back in 1996. So it's 20 years I've been with the same agent. And but if I had to be going out there today, forget about it. In fact, I have a writing partner, a screenwriting partner, and she and I had written a couple of children's novels, middle grade novels, and my 20-year agent didn't handle kids' books. So we had to go out and and start from scratch and try to find a literary agent, and we couldn't. We couldn't. And I had all these best-selling books behind me, and never did find an agent. We published it in a different way, but it sucks. And once you get a publisher, that's become a nightmare too. They don't do anything to promote your book. They can even pay you a lot of money for an advance, and then the book comes out and they do nothing. They do absolutely nothing. If you want to put your own money into promotion, they'll let you do that, but they don't do anything anymore. So it's a tough road, publishing.
Yeah, it is. And, it's a double-edged sword right now in that you can self-publish and you can go down that road. The internet is there. And if you're talented and you have something to say, you don't have to, go down the road of being denied or having somebody tell you no and you hand it in.
No, that's right. But I don't know if you realize, but Atlantos, this is my first self-published book. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, all my other books were, the big five publishers, and I decided that I was going to self-publish, see what that was like, and man, it's tough. It's really tough, and I have a fan base, but my fan base is in historical fiction, so that's been a challenge.
Now, what about, obviously this book has movie written all over it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, this is what I'm doing. I am going to finish book 2 before I send it out. And I'm convinced this is going to get either a movie deal or, these days cable does some pretty fantastic series. The cable series are great. So, but I feel like nobody's going to get the whole sweep of the story without book 2, because book 1, even though it stands on its own, it's only the origin and rise of Atlantis, and there is no real story of Atlantis without the fall of Atlantis. I mean,
right.
So I'm waiting. I'm biding my time. I have some very good ins with some of the big producers, and but I'm not doing it yet.
There you go. Thank you so much, Robin. I had a great time.
Pleasure.
Yeah, awesome conversation tonight. The website for everybody is robinmaxwell.com. All of her books are there. Everything that you need is right there. The links are at jimmychurchradio.com. Just go, click, go. It's a great website. And, Robin, thank you so much. You are just an amazing conversation.
Oh, thank you so much. You too, Jimmy. Really, you made me very comfortable. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll see you in a couple of short months out there in Joshua Tree, and we'll go hang out at the Country Kitchen.
Fantastic. Okay, great.
Thank you so much. Robin Maxwell, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening, Robin.
Thanks so much, Jimmy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Robin Maxwell, that is the book is incredible, and you've got the setup now. You've got the setup. Go check it out. It's an amazing read. Don't take it from me. Take it from Rita. All right. Okay. I want to close with a couple of things. A couple of disturbing things. One, a federal court in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania has ruled that filming the police without a specific challenge or criticism is not constitutional. It is not protected. The cases of Fields versus the city of Philadelphia and Garachi versus the city of Philadelphia involve two different incidents where individuals were arrested for filming the police. Richard Shields, a Temple University student, was arrested after stopping to take a picture of a large group of police outside of a house party. Amanda Garachi, a legal observer with Cop Watch, attended a large protest against fracking in September 2012 and was arrested while filming the arrest of another protester. This is not a joke. Both Fields and Geraci are seeking damages from the Philadelphia Police Department for violating their constitutional right to videotape public officials. Previous rulings have found that the public has a right to record police as a form of expressive conduct, such as a protest or criticism, which is protected by the First Amendment. Fields and Geraci's alleged constitutionally protected conduct consists of observing and photographing or making record of police activity in a public forum. Neither uttered any words to the effect. Now, this is according to the ruling handed down by the court. I'm quoting directly from the decision. Neither uttered any words to the effect that he or she sought to take pictures to oppose police activity. That was the ruling that was handed down. I'm continuing with the ruling here. I'm quoting. Their particular behavior is only afforded First Amendment protection if we construe it as expressive conduct, end quote. Now, I expect this ruling to be overturned. But in the meantime, if you want to photograph the police or videotape the police, according to this ruling, all you got to do is yell out, and I'm quoting here, yell out these words: I'm taking pictures to oppose police activity. That's what the court said. If they would have said those words, they would have been protected under the First Amendment. It's an outrage. So just remember, I'm taking pictures to oppose police activity. And I think that will work, too, if you get pulled over in a car. I'm not a lawyer. New documents have been released, written by Osama bin Laden, and they include his will, personal letters, and warnings to countries, including the United States. Yeah, you can go check all of this stuff out now. I'll tell you how to do it. The documents show that he claimed to still be worth millions of dollars, even as he struggled to remain relevant, if you know what I'm saying, as, Al-Qaeda just kind of splintered and went away. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence released the newly declassified documents yesterday. They were recovered during the May 2011 raid on bin Laden's compound in Abbottabad in Pakistan, in which he was allegedly killed. You can go to the National Intelligence website and check out the downloads for yourself. Another interesting development with Fukushima. 3 former executives of the Tokyo Electric Power Company, TEPCO, were indicted Monday for allegedly failing to take measures to prevent the disaster at the Fukushima nuclear complex, which was, struck by a massive tsunami. I like that Robin called it a tidal wave 5 years ago. The indictment, mandated by an independent panel of citizens after prosecutors decided against laying the charges, seeks to answer in court the question of whether the key TEPCO figures should be held criminally responsible over the nuclear disaster. The 3, who were indicted on charges of professional negligence resulting in death or injury, were Tanisha Katsumata, 75 years old, chairman of TEPCO at the time, and 2 former vice presidents, Saki Muto, 65, and Ichiro Takemura, 69 years old. Monday's indictment blames the 3 for injuries to 13 people, including self-defense force members, from hydrogen explosions that occurred at the plant, as well as the deaths of 44 patients that were forced to evacuate from a hospital. There you go. Man, no criminal charges, 44 deaths. Incredible. This is Fade to Black. I want to thank Robin Maxwell for an absolute riveting, fantastic, unbelievable conversation. Do come check her out at Contact in the Deserts in June. Links are at jimmychurchradio.com. Fade to Black's executive producers Rita Kamurian. Shows produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, and Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. What's up, Bev? Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Fadey by Dale. Webmaster is Drew, the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA The Planet. Tomorrow night, Ryan Singer live on Fader Night right here, manning the phones. I want to say thank you one more time to Jose Torres. You're the bomb. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2016 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. Cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.